What you got?
It's the craft foam to make a stamp.
Ooh, I got a good idea. You should put that on a block of wood.
Okay.
Hey! Hi, and welcome to Crafts by Two. I'm a block of wood.
And I'm Ken.
Not funny.
You're the one who said you're a block of wood.
On today's episode, Ken shows you how to make a stamp on the Cricut Explorer with craft foam and a block of wood. Not me. The wood.
If you find that you need a stamp for a project and you don't have one that's just right, you can always cut your own shapes in craft foam. And you can usually find these in like the dollar store for like two for $1.
Yep.
Or Joann's or any other craft store, you can pick them up. And you'll need to mount it to something sturdy. I had a piece of wood hanging around.
That's why you put this on there, because I'm sturdy.
Yeah. And helpful with crafting.
Except with small things. I make him do it.
And in the video, I also showed how I put a cutout of the same shape on the other side, just as a little guide. It's not going to be perfect, but it helps you know where you're stamping.
That's cool.
And it comes out pretty good. So there's a stamp
Of a ducky.
that I made.
So Ken, I am not a block of wood. So Ken, why don't you show our viewers how you made that adorable stamp?
Okay. In Design Space, I've already got the duck sized and ready to go. So I'm just going to come up here and click Go. And I know that the rollers are going to use this first square on the left and the right side. And I don't want the craft foam to buckle, so I'm just dragging this over to this 2x3 area. And that's where I'm going to place my craft foam on the mat. When I'm getting ready to place the foam on the mat, one thing you want to keep in mind, and you can see a little bit on this mat, is the rollers on the outside exert a lot of pressure onto the mat when you're running it through the Explorer. Because of that, I found that the craft foam might buckle sometimes under that pressure. So I'd like to drag on the preview over to the side a little bit. So I avoid using these two outer squares on the mat. So in Design Space, I've dragged it over to this kind of 2x3 area here. And I'm just going to put my foam there. And another tip is I like to cut the foam to the size that I'm going to be using. That helps prevent some of the buckling that you might get cutting a larger piece. And it also stops the foam from ruining the sticky on the rest of your mat. What I like to do is push it down just lightly and then just flip it over and give it more pressure from the back side. This helps ensure that I've got a good firm grip on the mat without me pressing my fingers into the foam and distorting it that way. So I can load the mat. And I've set the dial over to custom, so that's why I can select the material here below. In my account, I made a craft foam mine. The reason for that is the settings that Cricut has for their craft foam choice just really wasn't cutting through the foam for me. So I made my own setup. To do that, once you've got the page loaded, you can come down here and click on Custom Materials. And here you can see all the settings Cricut has for their materials. So they have craft foam, and it's using a cut pressure of 123 and a multi-cut of 4 and the regular blade. For mine, I found the settings that worked best after trial and error to be a cut pressure of 135 and a multi-cut of 3 times using the deep cut blade. And that would be my recommendation if you're trying this out for yourself. To add your own new material, you come down to the bottom and click Add New Material, and you'll be able to make your choices. So you could call it Craft Foam, and they had 1.9 millimeter, and I put mine after it. But I'm just going to say Mine Demo. And then for cut pressure, use the little slider, or you can use the plus minus here. So I did that at 135. And multi-cut, I did 3 times. And I said I was using the deep cut blade. Then when you're done, you just click Save. And the list is currently sorted by cut pressure. So now there's their craft foam at 123. The craft foam I had set up before for mine at 135. And here's the demo that I just made. You can sort by name just by clicking on the header also. So once you've got your material set up, you can click Done, and then choose that one from the list. And because I used the deep cut blade, it's reminding me up top to load the deep cut blade and press Go. And there's the duck. So you can just clean off some of the little fluff that gets left around the edges. And you can see the smaller rollers do leave a little bit of impression on the foam, but that's going to be the backside, so I'm not too worried. But even still, it will pop out after just letting it rest for a little while, like a day or so. So I have a wood block here, and I'm just going to take a little piece of paper, so white on white, but it'll be good for what we need to do. And you can see I've already tested some work with some other designs, and I'm ready to mount this to the block. Now, online, a lot of people, when I was looking into things, they said to use the hot glue to mount the craft foam, that it provides a good solid bond. I found it kind of hard to work with, and for some of the larger areas, you had to cover quite a lot of area, and then it was drying or cooling off, and then maybe I had some lumps underneath. So I really didn't like using the hot glue to mount them. What I ended up finding in our collection was Elmer's Craft Bond. It's a spray adhesive, and if you spray it and let it sit for a minute, then it makes a very strong permanent bond. And even though it's permanent, I was able to peel off this that I had mounted before. But using baby wipes to clean some of the ink off, I was able to clean off the design, and it really wasn't pulling away. I did have to really kind of pry it off, so for regular use, I'm pretty confident that the spray bond will be a good choice. If you're doing a larger piece, I recommend doing this in a well-ventilated area, but this is just going to be some quick sprays here. So I have to decide how I want my duck to look. I think that's probably the better choice. I'm probably going to want it at this end of the block, and I want it facing to the right when I stamp, so I'm going to put it on that way. So per the instructions, you want to let this dry a little bit to tack up, and if you let it dry, you join it after about 15 seconds after it's still tacky. So we'll let that sit for just a little bit. So just give it a little bit of a press with the fingers, and then just give it some pressure while you're down, face down. Now I'm going to let this sit and dry for about 15 minutes, and then we'll give it some stamps. While my block was drying, I decided to cut another copy of the duck, and I'm just going to place that on the back as a guide, so I have an idea of where the stamp is when I'm stamping. So just noting the position to eyeball it, giving this a quick little spray. This isn't going to be a perfect match, but it's close enough that it's going to give me an idea of where I'm stamping as I try to line things up on the target. So the stamp has dried. The glue is just slightly tacky around the edges, and now I'm going to do a couple stamps. Just working with these the first time, I kind of do it in reverse, where I put the ink on the stamp itself this way. So that's inked up pretty well, and I've got my guide. Just give it some even pressure. And there you go. Now, this wasn't quite as wet or juicy of an ink pad, so there was a little bit of texture of the foam left, but I think it came out pretty good. I'm happy with it. It'll be great for a card for a new baby or for a shower or something like that. And you can clean these up. So using some baby wipes, you can just clean the ink off. It's not going to be perfect, but you're not going to have much residue to worry about contaminating the colors later. And as long as you're not really pushing or tugging at it, it stays on pretty well. I'm not being super light or anything while I'm cleaning this up. And there you go. It cleaned up pretty well.
That was pretty simple. I liked it.
It's kind of fun to be able to just make your own stamps on the fly with some pretty inexpensive products. But the real reason I wanted to try this out is I had an idea to do some of my own background stamps, to do patterns and designs.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
I just think it's going to be fun to be able to do that. Plus, I have a great idea about using them with stencils that I'm also going to show next week.
That's cool. You can also use the craft foam to make little badges, like I used from the one that he stuck on my head, because he's a monster.
Yeah. For
the price of a block of wood or any scraps that you might have around your house and craft foam, a buck or two, you can make your own stamp.
And they're not going to be perfect, and you can't use them for super fine detail, but they make great enhancements to your cards and your projects.
I can't wait till we try it for next week's video. So we're giving a Cricut Explore Air away in July, my birthday month. The last day for you to enter is July 19th, and then we'll pick a winner on July 20th, which is only 10 days before my birthday, in case you didn't know.
So we'll have the link to go to the website to enter in the description on YouTube, and with the video, we'll have a little eye pop out over here where you can click and enter through that link too.
The I letter, not I, like eyeball. You should also make sure that you're subscribed to us, because we do all kinds of giveaways. So you don't want to miss out on any of those, because Ken says I can't win, so you guys should.
But we also do lots of fun projects, like the stamps that are coming up next week. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out.
I'm so excited about the stamps and doing the background.
To subscribe, our logo should be around here, and you can click on that to subscribe. Or if you're on YouTube, there should be a red subscribe button down below.
I see it.
If you're on our website watching the video, you can see a YouTube button over there that's red also. If you click on it and it asks you to do something, that's how you can subscribe. If you click on it and you can't do anything, then you're already subscribed.
I don't see it. Oh, wait, there it is. I see it now.
Okay.
So until next Tuesday, or maybe sooner, you never know what we got planned. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So, I'll stop saying so.
That was pretty simple and easy. Pretty simple and easy.
So it's a. Stop saying so.
Stop saying so. On July. Oh, that's the air conditioner. Really?
Or if on YouTube.
If on YouTube, then